Hello everyone, welcome to Diplomatic Briefing. Japan's new PM Sanai Takaichi made provocative remarks, calling a Taiwan Strait conflict a potential Japanese survival crisis, hinting at military intervention. China lodged strong protests. On November 7th, at her first House of Representatives Budget Committee meeting, Takaichi said a Taiwan Strait armed conflict could be deemed a survival crisis. When Constitutional Democratic Party's Katsuya Okada asked what makes a Taiwan contingency a survival threat, Takaichi replied, "We'll assess all information case by case. If China uses force, it would be a survival crisis for Japan." Takaichi responded by saying, "We will comprehensively consider all information and make judgments based on the specific circumstances of each case. I believe that if China uses force, this would constitute a situation threatening Japan's survival." The so-called situation threatening Japan's survival, according to the content of Japan's newly revised security laws in 2015, refers to a scenario where a country closely related to Japan is subjected to armed attack, and if such an attack is allowed to continue, it would pose an obvious threat to Japan's survival. In such cases, Japan can exercise its right to collective self-defense. This means that once the Japanese government determines that a situation threatening Japan's survival exists, the Japan Self-Defense Forces can act without needing prior consent from the United States. Take unilateral military action? Gao's remarks have even drawn a line placing Taiwan within the territory of another country, which has stirred up a huge wave of controversy. Former Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihiko Noda, in an interview, expressed that he was extremely shocked by Gao's statement, believing that such unilateral risk-taking carries significant dangers. Noda pointed out that Gao's words carry considerable weight and must be treated with utmost caution. He noted that previous prime ministers have usually exercised restraint on similar issues, as rash actions could have consequences both domestically and internationally. Such statements can have a major impact. According to previous reports by Kyodo News, the idea that an incident in Taiwan is an incident for Japan is clearly provocative toward Beijing. Even former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe only dared to make similar remarks after stepping down from office. Successive Japanese prime ministers have never made such explicit statements on this issue. But Sanai Takaichi, she has publicly raised this as the sitting prime minister, showing her clear intention to take a tough stance against China, what's more, during the APEC summit in the Asia-Pacific region. She even openly met with personnel from the Taiwan region in public and posted related photos on social media using incorrect terminology. In response to Sanai Takaichi's remarks regarding Taiwan, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian stated at the regular press conference on November 10th that the Japanese leader had recently made erroneous statements about Taiwan in Parliament, implying the possibility of military intervention in the Taiwan Strait, which constitutes a blatant interference in China's internal affairs and seriously violates the One China principle, the spirit of the four China-Japan political documents, and the basic norms of international relations. This is in serious violation of the political commitments made by the Japanese government up to now, and the consequences are extremely negative. China is strongly dissatisfied and firmly opposes this, and has already lodged stern representations and strong protests with Japan. Lin Jian emphasized that Taiwan is China's Taiwan, and how to resolve the Taiwan issue and achieve national reunification is purely China's internal affair, and no external forces are allowed to interfere. What kind of signal are the Japanese leaders trying to send to the Taiwan independence forces with these remarks? Don't try to challenge China's core interests or obstruct the great cause of China's reunification. What direction are you trying to steer China-Japan relations toward? Lin Jian pointed out that this year marks the 80th anniversary of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, as well as the 80th anniversary of Taiwan's recovery. Japan once carried out colonial rule over Taiwan and committed countless heinous crimes. Now, Japanese authorities' attempts to interfere in Taiwan Strait affairs are not only a trampling on international justice, but also a provocation against the post-war international order. This is a serious undermining of China-Japan relations. Lin Jian said that China's complete reunification will inevitably be achieved. The Chinese people have firm will, full confidence, and sufficient capability to resolutely crush any attempts to interfere with or obstruct the great cause of China's reunification. China urges Japan to immediately stop interfering in China's internal affairs and to stop provoking and crossing the line. Do not go further and further down the wrong path. The remarks made by Yoshimasa Hayashi not only provoked China, but also drew strong criticism within Japan itself, with two former Japanese officials immediately voicing opposition. Regarding the ongoing debate, Koyama Yuki posted on the X platform last Saturday, the 8th, emphasizing that Japan has always respected that Taiwan is a part of China and that the Taiwan issue is China's internal affair, which Japan should not interfere in. Noda Kazuya, the current Constitutional Democratic Party member, said in an interview last Saturday that he was deeply shocked by Hayashi's remarks. He felt the danger of acting alone and rashly. On October 10th, during the second meeting of the Budget Committee of Japan's House of Representatives, a member pointed out that in previous parliamentary discussions, there had never been any mention of specific country names or regional names when discussing situations involving a national crisis. As Prime Minister, Hayashi's statements in Parliament are extremely significant and could provoke reactions from other countries, so it was suggested that his remarks should be revised.
Takaichi defended. It was a hypothetical worst-case answer. Survival crisis depends on circumstances. It doesn't change Japan's consistent stance. She insisted it aligns with past positions, won't retract, but will avoid specific examples. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi backed her, saying it clarified principles. Japan's stance is unchanged.
Meanwhile, Chinese ambassador to Japan Wu Jianghao pointed out on the X platform that Taiwan is an inseparable part of China, and how the Taiwan issue is resolved is a matter for the Chinese people themselves. He criticized the notion that if something happens to Taiwan, it concerns Japan, saying it is an attempt to tie Japan to the chariot of splitting China. Ultimately, this will lead to a point of no return. Simply put, Sanai Takaichi is not an inexperienced politician, and even right-wing former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, whom she admires, never made radical statements on the Taiwan issue while in office. Only after stepping down did he become more aggressive. In the past, pro-American Japanese politicians often took the lead, but in handling Sino-Japanese relations, especially Taiwan, higher-ups have always been cautious. As for Sanai Takaichi, this time she is clearly exaggerating. The main problem with her statement is that even the Trump administration has always kept a low profile on the Taiwan issue, avoiding crossing China's red line, yet Japan is now sticking its neck out to take the lead. Economically, Japan has already been badly hurt by Trump's tariff stick. Now, by damaging China-Japan relations politically like this, Japan shouldn't expect China to make any concessions on economic and trade issues. Thirdly, after Prime Minister Kishida came to power, he immediately worked to ease relations with China in various areas, and there was some progress on the issue of Japanese seafood imports. However, it now seems that resolving this issue still has a long way to go. While Kishida is stirring up tensions in China-Japan relations, his big brother, the United States, is continuing to work with China at the operational level to cool things down in various areas. According to Reuters, citing two informed sources, FBI Director Wray visited China last week to discuss fentanyl and law enforcement issues. After US President Trump met with President Xi Jinping last month, they reached an agreement. The additional tariffs imposed on Chinese goods due to the inflow of fentanyl into China have been reduced to 10%. After the meeting, Trump told reporters that Xi Jinping would make a great effort to stop fentanyl from flowing into the United States. Fentanyl is a deadly synthetic opioid and is the main cause of drug overdose deaths in the U.S. U.S. Treasury Secretary said that the details of the new consensus will be determined through a new bilateral working group in preliminary discussions following reports of the FBI director's visit to China. On November 10th, the Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Public Security, Ministry of Emergency Management, General Administration of Customs, and National Medical Products Administration of China jointly issued an announcement. It stated that in order to further improve the management of exports of precursor chemicals, exporting 13 types of precursor chemicals to the United States, Mexico, and Canada will now require a permit. After the adjustment, the list of specific countries or regions now includes 6 countries. In addition to the United States, Mexico, and Canada, the other 3 countries are Myanmar, Afghanistan, and Laos, which are also included in the list requiring permit applications. The strengthened control over exports of fentanyl precursors to the United States, Canada, and Mexico is believed to pave the way for resolving the ongoing 10% tariff issue on fentanyl, smoothing the path toward a solution. This move has a positive effect on restoring normal and stable China-United States trade relations. What is striking is that the United States, Canada, and Mexico are grouped together with Myanmar, Laos, and Afghanistan, all being classified as high-risk countries for drug production. For many pro-American individuals coming to Hong Kong, this is quite, in reality,